Alrighty, welcome back. This is another example using that same kind of passing thing, and it's a very common program to see in most programming books in most languages. Well, we're talking about grades. In other words, each grade has a range of values that is appropriate for it. In this simplistic example, which is missing a few things, we'll see that an A is a 90 or better, a B is 80 or better, a C is 70, a D is 60, and anything below that is failing. So we've stuck in a score of 91, and this is the tests and the way that it would work if you were to do what we had last time, which is nested ifs. So if the score is greater than or equal to an A 90 or above, you get an A. If the score is greater than a B, because it was not, in other words, for this to fail, it has to be less than 90. So therefore, are you greater than or equal to a B? You receive a B. Otherwise, you did not have a score greater than 80. You were less than 80. You get a C or a D or an F. So you can see stacked up here is a whole bunch of nested if-elses all across the board, and then a whole bunch of trailing braces to close it all out. And if we run it, hopefully, there you go. With a 91, you get an A. With an 81, you get a B. With a 71, you get a C, and on and on and on. Now, you have to note something here. The way this is written, this works from the top down, which means you only get into the else side based upon the greater than size of things. So you only get into it if it's not greater than or equal to, which is basically less than. If you stacked up your test with greater than a 60, you would end up with a D and a B, and it would really depend upon the testing and how you laid it out, but you could get absolutely the wrong answer. Now, one of the things that we can see here is this gets kind of tedious with all the indenting that goes across the board. So the way to fix this, the easiest way to fix this, is this thing called an if-else-if, where instead of branching everybody like this, you take your ifs and you stick them right behind the elses. So your ifs become else-ifs. And then the last else is a trailing else. So if you do this, you'll notice that all of a sudden some of these guys don't work anymore. So we have to get rid of them. This one tags off the else. This one tags off the if. This one tags off way up here to main, and that would be bad because that would cut off the rest of our code. So we need to get rid of that. Now, the easiest way to fix this, to make this look pretty, is most places have what's called code, reformat code, or something very similar to this. It's a style thing, and if you reformat the code, magically, all your code is prettified. So if your code is really getting ugly, remember that in C-Lion under the code, which you can't see because it's hidden above, under code you'll see reformat code, and you can actually reformat your code. And now we have what's known as an if-else-if combo. Same exact thing, it just eliminates that internal nesting. This is basically a deconstructed if-else, nested if-else, nested if-else, nested if-else. The trailing else, by the way, this is also known as the default else translation. All of these possible things were checked. This covers everything else. So this is another way of picking up things that might or might not be working correctly. And with that, you can now see how we can take ifs and else ifs and turn it into a very nice stack. But remember, the way this is working is each one of these tests are separate, and each one of these tests are organized the right way. Otherwise, you don't get the right answer. If you had a series of stacked ifs and you tested it wrong, you'll get multiple possible answers. So play with it a little bit. See if you can type it in and figure out how to break it, and then see if you can figure out how to fix it. And that covers how we use the if, else if, versus using a nested if else with a nested if inside of it. And there we go for that. Hope you're having a great day.